or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, and
Day.
Yep, and the gates have been opened. Dun, 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 dun. The political races have begun.
Dun, 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 dun.
As of 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, the following individuals have pulled nomination papers for the office of mayor: Richard Cabaceres, Patrick Higgins, and Louis Cabral. I'm not sure who Louis Cabral is, but we're going to have to find out.
I'm sure
we'll be finding out soon. For the office of City Council, Michelle Dion, Russell Desbeen, Stephen Long, and Trot Joseph Lee. And for the office of School Committee so far, Miriam Morales and Jessica Wong, two newcomers to the scene. So it will be interesting to see how this pans out for the city, because it's going to be interesting. When this season kicks off, it's going to kick off big time. So, last night, a 45-minute city council meeting.
That's right.
Did somebody have an electric cattle prod out there or something? I mean, this is...
They must have had an event to go to. It's the beginning of campaign season.
I know, and I'll tell you, they got through everything real fast. They tabled it, or they, just quickly passed it, and they were done and out the door. The finance committee meeting was like 15 minutes.
Yep.
I mean, because they all came down to planning. Because I went to the planning board meeting yesterday, and I'll tell you now, Keith Paquette, who is the chairman, does not want people to talk, does not want to hear it from the citizens on that St. Vincent's Homeland property. And let's remember a couple of things. Number one, these people had almost all the money to buy that land. Most of it was coming from a grant, a matching grant, and the mayor refused to sign off on it. And when he didn't sign off on it, allegedly, the developers each gave campaign contributions. And according to the OCPF reports, it kind of looks that way. Now, last night, Attorney Arthur Frank, who's representing the developers, said, "Are you going to leave the public input on this open?" And Keith Paquette kind of looked bewildered.
Well,
and
he hadn't gotten his marching orders yet.
Yeah,
exactly. He was a little confused as to what to do.
And Bill Kenny turned around and said, "No, I think we're going to have to, because there's more information that's going to be coming forward and whatnot." Now, once they were done with that and they tabled it until May, those individuals from that neighborhood went right upstairs and they reached out to the city council. And if you listen to the citizens' input at the city councilors were upset. And I sent them the entire package. And they said, no, if they're going to do that, they are going to build that road according to the law, according to ordinance. Now, that's going to be interesting to see, because when has anything ever been done in Fall River according to ordinance?
Well, let's if you don't put a constant watch on government, and you let it run free, we know what happens.
Yeah.
They take all your money and they do whatever they want, and it's that simple. And they'll find a justification for it. So.
Well, of course, and of course, while we're on taking money, what does the state want to do now?
Can we defer this? Because I think we got a lot to say on this issue.
Sure.
Can we do addiction now defined as a brain disorder?
Oh yeah.
Issue. Because then we can get into that. Because I got a lot of axes to grind about our great state legislators. Addiction now defined as a brain disorder, not a behavior issue. Well, here we go again. If we can figure out a way to pump more money into what we do is give it a name.
That's it.
And then we can get more money. It's like when they began to call janitors sanitary engineers. So now you can get more money because you're not a janitor, you're a sanitary engineer. And then your buddy, in the city council or the mayor's office can get you a bigger pay raise. Now, and who came up with this? This is mind-boggling.
The
American Society of Addiction Medicine.
Yes.
There's so much money in this now, they have an entire society that, to it. And they came up with the conclusion that it's not a behavior issue, because heaven forbid, if it was a behavioral issue, you could say, well, maybe we can modify behavior, because we know that there are numerous methods for behavior modification. Pavlov's dog, whatever.
I prefer the cattle prod method.
Yeah, the cattle prod. Negative and positive reinforcement. But if it's a behavior, if it's something you choose to do, like sticking a needle in your arm, well, people might then begin to rebel about dumping. Now it'll be billions of dollars into this. But no, let's say they can't help themselves. This is a brain disorder. It is a brain disorder. Well, I don't know what happened. It was, before, in the old West, we had no attention deficit disorders. None of these maladies that we've attached these wonderful names to, to get more money, had it. You know why? When you were in a wagon, when you were in a covered wagon going across the plains, and then trying to duck Indian arrows while you were trying to make a life out in the Wild West on the only land you could get, because nobody else wanted to go out there and take the risk. You didn't have time to have attention deficit disorder. You were too busy going out there plowing the fields and working your butt off. So, and then at the beginning of the last century, when kids got up and ran around like wild Indians, somebody sat them down and maybe gave them a little tap on a derriere. But we can't do that anymore, because that's a horrible thing to do. No longer. Spare the rod, spoil the child is now something that's considered, I guess, a hate crime. I don't know. But this is, again, this is absolutely, the war on drugs started in what, the 70s, I'd say, late 60s, early 70s.
Late 60s, early 70s.
Late 60s, early 70s. So I guess now the United States of America and our great government on all levels has now surrendered. We have capitulated. We have given up. The hell with the war on drugs. We'll just let them keep bringing it in, and we'll keep giving them Narcan. That's it. It's a growth industry now. We can make more money out of this deal. And you know something? It's just, and who pays? Working people. The people that go to work every day, we're going to pay. We're going to pay for everything. And this is what this country has come to. It's just a mass of and a conglomeration of self-interest groups. And the greatest self-interest group, now I'll segue into it, unless you want to say, I know you love the addiction issue because you're an expert on this. I mean, you testified before a national committee.
That's it.
And I know you love this thing, so if you want to say a few things, but then when you're done, we can get into our favorites, politicians.
Well, the thing about this whole addiction issue is no matter how much you say that it is not a disease, it's a choice, that these people have a choice. And even in this designated report that they've created, when you look into it, guess what? They're saying it's a behavior pattern. A behavior pattern is something that you learn, okay? But it's brain damage. I don't understand.
It's not a behavioral issue.
Right.
They said it's a behavior, but it's not a behavioral issue.
Exactly. And this is how we get to our lovely saying of all time.
Screw you, taxpayer. You gotta love it. You gotta love this. I'm gonna put this up for the camera. See if you can you push in a little bit here?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll get that in nice and close.
A tale of two. Here we go. What they're great at. Where are you?
There you go.
Massachusetts considers tax on sodas. They're gonna go. It could be as much as 40 cents on a 20-ounce bottle of soda. So, and then they're going to say it's going to go for children's health, which is crap. You know, they siphon money off. Another tax to make it harder on people to drink anything. And okay, maybe it's not good to drink 52 gallons of Coke a day or any other sugary drink. But, you know, last time I checked, this was supposed to be a free country, and they're not supposed to legislate your choices. But they do. They price. Now they're going to try to price the soda industry out of the market and lay more. But we've got to get this dichotomy out. But on the other hand, what do we have?
The House Democrats kill the tax holiday proposal.
Kill the tax holiday for the taxpayers. Yet, so what do we have here? And I've got to put a third one in. We don't have a paper for that because it was an old show. But remember the $105,000 pay raises some of our legislators got. And they're getting a $35,000 bump for every little committee they get put on or every little title they add to their name up in Boston. So they take our money, they raise our taxes on sugary drinks, and when a Republican from Taunton, Shauna O'Connell, filed an amendment to have a tax holiday, and another Republican,
Jeff
Deal, a Whitman Republican, Whitman's up in the rich country there, called for a designated as an annual holiday. They both went down in flames. And who shot them down in flames? Our Democratic, our working man's party delegation and the Democrats. And what did O'Connell say? Said that taxpayers, including parents buying back-to-school supplies, deserve a break from the 6.25% sales tax as they face rising property taxes and health insurance costs. Yes, that's true. But do our legislators care about this? Hey, they might even be able to afford the 40 cents with a $105,000 bump added to their present salary. But, you know, this again shows, you know, the people allow it.
But here, you know, here's the scary part about this. This Massachusetts tax on soda that they're considering, if the soda or the drink has 5 grams of sugar or less, they'll be taxed 1 cent per ounce. So for a 20-ounce bottle, that will be 20 cents. But if it has more than 5 grams, which just about every bottle of soda has, it's 2 cents an ounce. Now picture this on a 67.6-ounce bottle, a 2-liter bottle of Coke. That is $1.34. And they'll round that up to $1.35. On top of the $1.89 that it already costs for the soda. Are you going to pay $3 for a bottle of soda?
Well, it's pretty sad when, actually, if you go to Walmart, it's probably a little cheaper than $1.89. You can get it once in a while for, whatever, $1
a bottle or something,
$1, $1.25 a bottle for a 2-liter. So now you're going to have a tax from the state of Massachusetts that exceeds the price of the soda.
Right.
That is more than the price of the soda itself.
Exactly.
I mean, this is just, and remember, when they come back and everybody's going to, when they take pictures in Portugal eating in the restaurants on your dime, or maybe taking a few bucks out of that $105,000 bump, and they're stuffing their face and taking selfies all over the place. This is what they do to you constantly.
But
now,
you know,
no tax holiday for the taxpayer?
No.
You know, double screw you, taxpayer. You don't get any damn holiday here. What's wrong with you?
Well, you know, the thing is, the governor's already talking about potential 9C cuts because they already have a significant revenue shortfall. After that's announced, the Democrats give themselves $105,000 a year pay. The Democrats, because the Republicans do not get that raise. And this isn't a Democrat or Republican issue here except on the pay raise. They gave it to them. Then they proposed a tax on soda. Then they shot down the tax holiday. Okay? So they took the money and they said, well, now somebody's got to pay for that pay raise. So you, the taxpayer, are going to pay for it. Why? Because you're idiots.
And don't forget, you know, Representative O'Connell mentioned the escalating prices of health costs. They shifted more of the cost of health care in the GIC over to the employees. So now they're going to be paying even higher co-pays in addition to paying higher premiums. And the state's going to save millions of dollars by this cost shift again. But where does it go? Take a wild guess. It goes to legislators, legislators' friends who have political jobs, and things like opioid addiction. Heaven forbid we help out some family that can't get 2 nickels to rub together after they pay all the taxes. You can't even sit down and have a Coke.
That's it.
Can't even do that now.
Yeah.
I mean, if this isn't, you know, when is the state of Massachusetts going to hit the wall with this? When are the voters going to understand that changing the governor but leaving the House and Senate the way it is does absolutely no
Nothing.
good.
Right.
And you got to change the whole thing. Look at what's happening in Washington. Everybody's killing, you know, they're killing the Donald. But, you know, people who knew politics knew that, you know, while, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, he's tried to do some things, and whether you agree or disagree, and that's one of the problems, people agree with some things he wants and not the other things,
Right.
so they hate him on one hand, you got this love-hate. But the fact is, we're proving again, you can't get a damn thing done in Washington, you can't get a damn thing done in Boston, and you can't get a damn thing done in Fall River unless it's paying more taxes. That they can get done. They can take more money out of your pocket. They can figure how to pay, you know, how to pay their salaries and give people that they put in huge pay raises. But they can't figure out how you can keep a nickel in your pocket. And if they find that nickel, they'll figure out a way to get it. Because all you have to do is look now the CPA, the state's not going to fund the CPA like they did before. So guess who's going to pick up that tab? You, the taxpayer of Fall River. You're going to pick up the tab unless we repeal it.
Right.
We've got to get rid of this CPA. We've got to get rid of this. We've got enough taxes, and virtually every single dime that the CPA has spent has gone to a political hack.
Yeah, I agree.
And been used improperly. So if this doesn't get you angry, I know we close our show with stay angry, but you know, if stuff like this, because when you can put them side by side, Mass considers tax, then House Democrats kill holiday tax proposal. They never ever saw a tax they didn't like, and they never saw a tax holiday that
And when they killed the tax holiday, they said the state can't afford it.
Yeah.
How did they afford the $105,000 apiece for each Democrat?
Look, you remember, that's what they always say. Look, you don't understand how difficult these jobs are.
Yeah, I know.
They make you the chairman of a committee, and that gets you a $35,000 pay raise. Well, guess what? $35,000 because they gave you a gavel, and you went, okay, the meeting will come to order. That's worth 35 grand. Guess what? That's more, and a lot more, than the household income in the city of Fall River.
That's right.
That exceeds the household income for, by the way, that statistic is for a family of 4.
Right.
So a family of 4, the average in Fall River, is not making what a state representative gets
For
as
being
a
chairman.
for being a chairman of a committee.
Yep, a stipend, another stipend.
Another stipend.
Yep.
And if that doesn't get you, when every time you walk in a grocery store and you can't afford anything, and by the way, they were supposed to reduce the state tax.
That's right. They never did that
And
either.
they didn't do that either. You know, we like to remember this because if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. Well, guess what? You by putting these people in every year, unopposed most of the time, look, you're doing it to yourself. You know, a wise man once said, you get the government you deserve.
I agree. I agree. And I'll tell you, we talked about the health industry and whatnot, and that families can't afford it. NBC had a story last night about a family that has to get black market insulin for their child. And it's interesting because the insulin they're talking about is the insulin I use. It's called the Pedra. And I had told you before that it costs about $370, $380 a bottle. That's for 10 mils. That's for 10 mils. That's not even an ounce. And this family has to pay with their copay, cost shifting again, $270 for one vial because of the cost shifting. $270 a vial because a Pedra is classified as a tier 3 drug. Oh, and guess who classifies it that way? Your favorite company.
Caremark.
Yeah, CVS Caremark.
Caremark. Care less.
Yep.
CVS Care less.
CVS Care less, and they're pointing the fingers. One's pointed at the public employee benefit plan. Public employees put it against the public benefits administrator, who's pointing, everyone's pointing the fingers. It's always somebody else. This is our plan. This is how we save money, blah, 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 blah. But, again, this is how we do business. So how much do you think a life is worth? Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this insulin, okay? This is genetic insulin. And when I tell you what it's made from, you're going to be like, ugh. It's made from bacteria found in feces. Feces. So it's fecal matter.
Fecal matter.
Okay? And they're charging $370 for 1/3 of an ounce of it to save someone's life.
Yeah.
And this girl has to use this insulin because the cheaper brand of insulin, the Humalog or the Novolog, causes an allergic reaction. She breaks out in hives or whatever. And I know what that's like. Now, years ago, insulin was made from pork and bovine pancreases. They would actually extract the insulin from the pancreases. They slaughtered the animals for meat and whatnot, and they used the pancreases. Now I guess we throw the pancreases away. But that was very effective insulin. It was also cheap. It was like $12 a vial. You couldn't get much cheaper than that, but somebody had the wonderful genius idea of coming up with genetic insulin, and now we pay $400 for a vial of insulin, and if you can't afford to pay for it, too bad.
Yeah, and heaven forbid. I mean, in this particular case, it said that Gabriella is allergic to the kind of insulin that her insurer covers for a $25 out-of-pocket cost, so she has to take the Apedra, and that only covers 25% of the cost, so she has to assume 75% of the cost.
Right.
This is what really disturbs me. These pharmaceutical companies, you said earlier, what price is a life? Their value of life is zero. They really don't care. It's obvious when the individual withheld cancer drugs, when they withhold insulin from people, and especially children who will die, and they use all these bull claims, bull feces. So in case somebody didn't know what feces is, they now can extrapolate that information. We've got to do research. They get research grants, they get tax breaks, they get everything. They don't need to jack their prices up. It's because the CEO of CVS Caremark, last time I checked, his annual salary with all his investment options and stuff like that, he was making $32.8 million a year. Not $32,000 a year, people. $32.8 million. And that other criminal, and I'll refer to her as a criminal because I feel she is, who jacked the price of insulin up, and her daddy was a senator from West Virginia, so she gets to do that. They brought her in and they made a little noise and pretended they cared, but they don't care. The government doesn't care. She got a $16 million pay raise after that increase in the insulin costs. So when you start seeing these CEOs making millions and millions of dollars and then taking advantage of people, you're going to tell me that even if this, and it costs them nothing because they can sell all these drugs in every other country in the world for 30 to 75% less than we pay in the United States, you're going to tell me that one person who's allergic and can show that there's a legitimate medical reason why she can't use the other drugs, that's going to bankrupt a company that can pay its CEO $32 million a year? Give me a break. These people, as far as I'm concerned, they're war criminals because there's a war against poor people. in this nation.
Yeah, but it's not just against poor people, Chip. Okay, I mean there are working class individuals.
Well,
okay?
I mean, I consider them poor today. I mean, there's no
Yeah,
middle
we no
class.
longer have a middle
You know,
class.
the only, when I say poor people, I mean somebody that doesn't have that's not making $1 million a year and is
Yep.
exempt from all these things, or maybe a state legislator.
Yeah,
Because they
that's
may
true.
be able to afford it. I don't know. But the fact is that, look, I'm using a general term, and I probably shouldn't have been. And most people go, oh, well, you know, yeah, you're right. It affects, look, if you're not a millionaire, if you don't have a yacht and 3 houses, you can't afford to pay. I mean, some of these costs, there's a new drug out for MS or something. Was it MS?
I think so. Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's like, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Yep.
And it works. So what do you do when one of your family has MS, and you know there's a cure there, but these criminals who can pay, you know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these people love to shoot down tax holidays. Well, why don't we cap the pharmaceutical industry CEOs legislatively say, like, you can't make more than maybe 20 million? 'Cause that's enough for most people.
Yeah, I think
mean,
so.
You know, I'd work for 20 million.
Yeah, so would I.
You know, but, you know, 32 million, $16 million pay raises. It's like, holy, it's just, this is just, it's criminal. It's criminal. People every day in the United States are dying because of the pharmaceutical companies in this nation. And when you can drive across the border to Mexico or Canada and buy some of this stuff for 75% less.
Oh yeah, it's scary.
That to me means that every one of these people should be put in jail.
You know, but this is what
with a
happens.
cellmate named Bubba.
Yeah. But you know, this is what happens, and as I said to people, as I've told people before hundreds of times, if they weren't making millions of dollars a day on cancer and diabetes and other diseases, and we're not talking millions of dollars a year, millions of dollars a day, they'd have a cure for it already. It makes no sense to cure the cash cow. Why are you going to why are you going to issue the cure? We have all this research out there that's going on, but no cure.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
I mean, you know, and they say they have to charge this. Well, they don't charge it in Canada or Australia.
Exactly.
So that's crap. And secondly, why do they need that much money, CJ? Why do they need millions of dollars a day? Well, when your CEO is making about $3 million a month, a little less than $3 million, you know, $3 million a month. Figure that out on an hourly wage.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And what do you think his assistant's making? His assistant isn't making like $24,000. You know, he's getting 32.8. His assistants are probably making like a paltry 24, 25 million. And when you look at these things, it's just, like I said, it makes you crazy. You wonder why people sometimes go postal when they see stuff like this, because it's absolutely unconscionable.
And that's what our elected officials are trying to do. They're trying to make $32 million a year, hence the $105,000 a year pay raise.
That's right.
And then we're going to tax you because we got to pay for it, because if we don't get the money to pay for it, we're going to have to give 9 C cuts, which means the cities and towns are going to be all upset. And then it's not like Fall River doesn't ask for more money every year as it is. So, you know, you can't write it, baby. You just can't write it.
You can't. You're right. You can't write this stuff. You know, you just can't. And then we have another article about life-saving drugs skyrocketing prices, and it's just insane.
This is the nature of the beast around here.
That's right. If we haven't made you angry with today's show,
We're never going to.
You better check for a pulse.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we'll see you on Friday. Have a great day, and remember, stay angry.